since Reagan, has anybody ever paid down the debt? No.
Clinton did.
Oh, Clinton did. Oh, my goodness. Vote for a Democrat?
No, I'm telling you, vote for a Republican Congress that forced Clinton to sign the bills. And Clinton, unlike this president, was willing to move to the center because he wanted to be reelected. This guy doesn't care. He's got an ideological viewpoint that says, I'm going to take that, I'm not going to screw up like Clinton and miss my opportunity. I'm going to go for the bang right now, even if I don't get elected. No, Clinton was wise. He signed the reduced spending. He signed the tax cuts. And what happened? The economy grew. That hurts me to say that, but Clinton spent less than any president in modern history except Reagan. Other questions?
Well, in this district, certain programs are working. I work in the automobile industry, and I must say that my job and other jobs were saved in this district by the Cash for Clunkers program. I mean, dealerships were saved, manufacturing jobs were saved, and we are in some tough times. And government programs can work in certain instances. And so I wanted to throw that out there, and we have to remind people that the TARP, the bailout of the financial institutions, was a George W. Bush program that had bipartisan support that was in before some of the other stimulus programs came out. And what you said about what you did in Michigan, leaving a surplus, when you were in Congress, the Republicans left a deficit and inherited a surplus. And Mr. Bush started a war that he didn't pay for and some other things. So, you know, there's two sides of the coin here of things going on. And this district did benefit from that automotive program, and jobs, and manufacturing jobs, and dealership jobs, and research jobs like what I do for the automobile industry, and I live in the district, were saved by that program. And I just wanted to, you know, throw that out there.
I appreciate that, but that, as you said, that's one side of the story. What would have happened if we would have had a true private sector bankruptcy as opposed to a public sector bankruptcy? Would there have been more things on the table that would have made General Motors and Chrysler more sufficient for the future, doing things like Ford did before that, or Delta Airlines and others that have gone through private bankruptcies?
Well, you've been in Congress. Why are bills 1,000 pages long?
They should.
Because there's real special interest cuts in there for everything. The financial package just went through. Automobile dealerships were exempted from some of those financial rules because they lobbied and they got out of it. So that adds pages and pages to the bill. I guess when I think about it, most businesses get tax breaks. Most farmers get tax subsidies. Most businesses, pharmaceutical companies, automobile manufacturers, restaurants get to pay wait staff less because they get tips. Mortgage companies, we get to deduct our house interest rate. That's for the home building industry. I mean, there's government tax breaks for people all the way along the way. And so when you talk about, you know, get out of the way and let business go, a lot of businesses have a bunch of tax breaks in place already. So I don't know what else we can do to help them, you know, help them grow.
We can get out of their way with more tax breaks.
Okay.
We can cut taxes.
But the roads are crumbling, teachers are getting laid off.
Yeah, well, I guess then I would say, with all of this government, and all of these government subsidies, and all of these government programs, we find ourselves getting further into debt. The more wars we have on poverty, the more poverty we get. Right now we're approaching 50% of the adult population that are potential taxpayers aren't paying a single federal income tax.
Yep.
So less and less of us are paying the tax.
Yep.
And then when you take and add to the fact that there are people who pay the tax but then get the refund, so virtually, no, in reality, they don't pay a tax either. Now the figure mounts up to 70% of America's adult population pay virtually no federal tax. Now that leaves a lot of the rest of us, you, paying an awful big share for a lot of people that aren't paying. And so we have roads crumbling, we have schools with problems, we have programs in place that don't have nothing on. I mean, probably many of you heard today, the weatherization, the heating programs that went on this past winter, the huge fraud that took place when people who weren't even alive got these subsidy payments, and people live in multi-million-dollar mansions were getting it. Again, an example of government that cannot police the numbers of programs and the costs that they have. I'm not saying the cash for clunkers didn't help some, but I'm questioning, was that a short-term fix that did enable a long-term fix that will provide us with a greater opportunity for the long-term and future, for your job and other jobs to come?
Well, I think we would have had a depression here if some of those things would not have happened with the automobile industry.
Well, there were other options during that time, and that's why 136 of us Republicans voted against TARP, for instance, the first bailout. We voted against it. We went against the president. We went against Paulson, Bernanke, and said, wait, there are ways of doing that without doing it the way you're doing it. And we did it back with the savings and loan. We did it.